We'll see how this goes.
I think together we can make a success of this project.
We'll get started here in 3, 2, 1.
What do you have for me this time? Hacking into the stock market, closing down a bank, fixing an election. It's all easy.
Right on.
What a bunch of trash.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Trash Movie Kings podcast. I am your host, Adam Edwards. We have a very special and exciting episode for y'all this week. Before we get into that, though, we are going to do some housekeeping at the top of the show instead of the end of the show now. So if you're not already, go ahead and follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you call it, TikTok, Threads, if that's still around. We are Trash Movie Kings everywhere. Trash Movie Kings everywhere. Not like that's not part of the handle. Right. Also give us a follow on YouTube, Spotify. Like and subscribe now that we're done prostituting ourselves. Joining me this week, Joseph Graham. Joey, how are you?
Tired, a little hungover, but good.
Okay. Also joining us, JD Karpicki. JD, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing really great. And I'm using a new so my computer for some reason didn't let me download Zoom or update, so I'm using this new phone. I'm hoping you guys can see me okay.
Yeah, I think you have a problem with Windows.
Yeah.
Maybe you need a Windows machine.
I need a half window right here and also my hands. But otherwise I'm very much here. Just like everyone else in the movie. Okay.
All right. One bit down. Also joining us this week, Justin Petty. JP, how are you?
I made the mistake of going outside today, so I'm pretty worn out.
Yeah,
dude, don't do that.
It's been a heat index of at least 107 every day for the last 3 weeks.
It's untenable, y'all.
Yeah, I sent a photo in the group chat earlier. My tap water is 90 degrees.
So. I got in my car and it said 84, and I was like, fuck you. There's no fucking way. And then 2 miles down the road, it said 108. I was like, oh yeah, that's where we're at.
That's it. Yeah. It's hot in Texas.
It's trying to kill us.
And finally, joining us this week, Apocalypse Howl. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Toot toot.
Toot toot. So yeah, full house this week. We are also doing this a little differently because normally, for those of you who don't know, we typically record this around midnight or so on Thursday night. We're usually very tired and kind of boozy and have just watched a movie. But today, this week, we're recording this about 6 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday because yesterday we were fortunate enough to go to 14 Pews, which is an old church in the historic Houston Heights that they have converted into a small theater. Seats about, what'd you say, Joey? About 100, give or take?
Sold 100 tickets or so, yeah.
Yeah. So we saw a screening, a breening, if you will, of Cade, The Tortured Crossing. Neil Breen's dare I say magnum opus, his most recent film. It is currently kind of touring, I guess, around the country, and we were fortunate enough to see it in person. Unfortunately, Neil was not there, though there was promise that they could potentially hold a film festival here, and he might show up, and that would be amazing.
That's my burning question, though, because would he have wanted to be at the screening? That's the question.
So I've wondered that too, right? And
yeah,
we saw Cade yesterday. This is the first time I believe that any of us have seen a Neil Breen movie in theaters, correct?
With a large group of people, yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
We've all seen them, but just with a group of people. And we all brought somebody that was important to us. I brought my girlfriend. Joey brought his friend. Apocalypse brought his wife, Justin brought Vanessa, and then JD. So we were all
2 bits
I sat
down.
in the aisle too in like this bucket seat, like in the tub.
Yeah,
quite fitting.
But needless to say, we brought people who are maybe not familiar with Neil Breen and what they were kind of getting into, but everyone had a really fucking good time. I mean, I can't speak to, for your wife, Apocalypse, but I could tell that Vanessa was having a great time. Lauren, Sarah Beth, all these other people were had a really, really good time. And I wonder,
she had a good time also.
Okay, good. I do wonder if Neil, when he is at his screenings, if it's the same kind of crowd, because
as far as the
rowdiness,
the acceptance of commentary from the crowd.
Well, have we all been to a room screening, the midnight room screening, where it's just people yelling the entire time, spoons are flying at the screen, like people are doing bits, like that I get, and I've been to stuff like that. But this, when I sat down, I told somebody like, oh, I haven't seen all his films, and then I like whispered, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't know how serious the Breen will fan base is, so I didn't know if people were going, like really serious about it. But it just sort of quickly devolved into laughter and just very erupting laughter, just right away, and bits and jokes and all that stuff. So I was worried, like, if he ever slips into one of his screenings, he's gonna be like, these fucking idiots, they don't get it.
Yeah, there's a good question. From what I gather, I've read mostly from Letterboxd accounts on this movie in particular, because it's played some film festivals and stuff. He seems fairly affable. I think he kind of understands. I don't know. He gets along with the audience. I don't think he has a big problem with them having a good time with it. But again, I don't know what it's like when they know he's in the room.
Right.
Yeah.
So it might be a different kind of thing that hasn't necessarily seen before.
Right. Like, is it like this weird hushed reverence and trying to be on your best behavior because dad's there versus when we were watching it? I mean,
almost immediately people were like yelling things.
Oh yeah. I mean, because it's, it opens up with Neil Breen Presents or whatever it is, like a Neil Breen film, and everybody just starts applauding.
Well, it's like it says two things with his name on it first.
Yeah,
right.
It's like
just in case
Neil Breen Productions LLC or something like that.
Right,
and then 5 seconds or maybe 2 minutes later, there's a Neil Breen film.
Yeah.
And then it's like written and directed by Neil Breen, and then you get the title card.
It's interesting that you brought up The Room, because I was thinking about this. I was like, when you go watch The Room, everyone's mostly seen The Room. So you kind of know, what's coming at you and kind of where the funny bits and parts are. But this was interesting because no one had seen this movie, and everybody was just going off of kind of his style and predilections, I guess.
And
so
Breen is consistent. Like he keeps making films, so I think he's surpassed. Like, I don't know if Tommy Wiseau is known as like,
that's a good point. Yeah,
quote unquote most corny director or whatever. But Breen is like so serious. That's why it'd be the ultimate bit if he like surprised an audience by sneaking into a theater, and that was the first time he knew that anyone laughed at his films. And he's like, and he just has like a mental breakdown.
What I really learned.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, you go.
Okay.
Damn, look at us.
I think it's tough with Breen because, like, Tommy Wiseau, like, initially when he realized like everyone was making fun of his movies or enjoying it the way that they are enjoying it, like he was upset about it. And later on, he started leaning more into it and started touring it and pretending that was the bit all along. With Breen, like it's hard to read. He's a hard guy to read, because he's very dry and straightforward, and it is hard to know, like, if he's in the room, like, is it okay to laugh at it? Is it okay to have fun with it? Or are we supposed to respect it because we don't want to upset him?
Right.
Yes, Lauren was someone who asked me that pretty early on. Who was like, "This isn't serious, is it?" And I was like, "I can't tell you one way or another. To be honest, I really don't know."
Yeah, I mean, Sarah Beth had the same kind of thing, right? Like, I sent her the trailer ahead of time, and she was like, "What is this? Like, is this a joke? Is it, And I'm like, it's hard to tell. Like, we don't know. Like, it's earnest. I know that, but
I don't
so
want
earnest,
The
I don't
messaging,
want
if
him
nothing else,
to-
is super genuine.
I don't want him to lean him into it.
Right.
I want him to lean
into
into the antithesis. I want him to lean into the character that we've known him as, which is who he is. And I saw him smile so much that I was like, shit, he's leaning into it
in the movie.
No, don't lean into it, Neil. Like, stay focused on the filmmaker that you are. Yeah. But I think from our conversation with Marsiglio,
that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
I really took away from that conversation that Breen is, in a sense, Joey, you're the same way. You're a doer. I'm a dreamer. I'm a daydreamer. I'm a writer room guy. I'll sit there and daydream, but then you're like, let's make it. And I'm like, I got to go. And yeah. So, I mean, like, yeah, it's cognac, but Breen is, it's Cavassier.
Yeah. Fucking rich.
So Breen is I think he's loving the reception because his fans authentically love him.
Yeah.
Like, we might be laughing at some aspects of like, oh, he just grabbed that drone footage. We know he didn't buy a drone and fly it, but it's so like great when you see the crowd just light up. Like, that is the best purchased footage you could have picked for that. And Breen's like, right? And there's this, I don't know. We've never met him. I don't know what he's like, but it just seems like his crowd beams for him.
Oh yeah, we're all very proud of our son.
Yeah, no matter how much they laughed, whenever he was triumphant in the movie, it was everyone. Like, I felt joy, like, just watching him do that. Not ironically, like, I was like, this guy. Something about how genuine he is, no matter what. Like, that's why if you see random YouTubers or podcasts that are like kind of outside of the mainstream, but they're getting popular, it's because they're being genuine, because they're being true to themselves. And that is so attractive to people, because a lot of us try to hide who we really are and stuff like that. So I think him being that genuine is so attractive.
Yeah, there's perhaps not so much as like he's noticed that people laugh at it and leaned in as much as he's like, people like me, and it just emboldens his, like, everything that he does that's so nuanced and strange, he doubles down on because he knows people dig it. But those are
pun intended.
Yes, double down.
He's the Howard Hughes of green screen staircase. Is what I was.
I mean, this is his first movie that's completely on green screen. I mean, Double Down doesn't have any, I don't think.
So that's what I was going to say is, like, I'm glad you brought up Double Down, because you look at Double Down and then you look at Cade, and you can and you look at everything in between, and you can see this is clearly his goal. Like, you watch Double Down, and weirdly, like you said, a lot of it is shot on location. It's shot in the desert of Vegas. It's shot in his house. I think there's some green screen, maybe.
I'm thinking like when he's making the speeches at the end before the bank and the president all kill themselves or whatever.
Yeah. I am the president of the bank.
Oh, that's fateful findings, though, isn't it?
I've been hacking into government and corporate systems all over the country. All over the world. I have discovered more information than any hacker ever has. Ever. What I have found will shock you.
Oh, maybe it is.
But Twisted Hair is the president of the bank.
They have
the president of the bank.
Oh, and he has the meeting. There's a bunch, but this one, full.
This one is 100% green screen. There's no on-set, like, no soundstage.
The tiger.
The tiger was very real.
The audience.
I think it was also maybe shot in a day. maybe a couple days. But
I think
there's
there were
definitely
some
like
pickups.
I think that like all of the supporting actors, they shot their entire bits in one day.
Well, how long do you think it took him in post, Justin?
Probably less time than Someone Dies.
But he shot this movie after we shot Someone Dies, and he's finished it and put it out on a Blu-ray disc. Which you
on a Blu-ray?
I respect him for that. I respect that. And he had a 3D Tiger.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about the post-production effect of this movie, or like the workflow, I guess, because it really feels like no one is filmed at the same time.
Right.
It feels like everyone has their lines and they're just standing in front of a green screen, delivering their line, waiting a minute or two, and then delivering their next line. And so you'll see where you have two people talking to each other, and sometimes they will just freeze the footage of one of them while they're waiting on the other one to finish delivering their line because they didn't time it up properly. Right. And so, I was thinking about, as an editor, it's like, so how many takes do you have of each person? And then you're just like lining them all up and piecing them together. And how long does that take? And then they obviously didn't spend too much time on the mats and the keying. They just threw a generic green screen key on it and called it good.
Well,
yeah,
but he's in the room for the editing.
As far as like the only post thought I had was the fight scene, the epic fight scene.
Yeah, at the end.
Whenever it panned out to the establishment shot of the whole fight scene, just looking at, like, just thinking in my head, who was the top layer?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure he was. I'm pretty sure his stuff was the top layer. And then off to the left was the the layers right below that. And how many layers was it?
Oh gosh,
30, 40
for that like Renaissance style painting fight scene. It's in the trailer, so
I really liked how there were fight scenes. Are we doing any kind of spoiler type of stuff or no?
I don't know if you can spoil.
How
this
would
movie.
you spoil this? Yeah.
Okay, so
there's some stuff that you could.
The
maybe
training
spoil,
session. When each individual person is training, they're just standing there like Tekken
it's
fighters, and
this
just throwing their
might be a
moves.
spoiler now that I think about it.
And then when the major fight comes, that footage is used.
Yes.
Yeah. In a lot of the places, and I thought that was just great.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. The training montage is the same as the fight montage. It's the same shots,
and I loved it.
And the bad guys are the same actors as the good guys. They're just wearing ski masks, so you can't see who they are.
Which was a little
which was confusing.
He made sure to keep part of them that is an identifying quality exposed. Like the blonde girl has a hitty, but her blonde hair is out. The tattoo guy, his elbows shown. It's like so. It's like, are you meaning to do this? What the isn't that corrupt? Like I'm angry with how Andy Kaufman he is, but on an exponential level. If he is not.
It would have been less. It still would have been noticeable, but less noticeable if he didn't have them switch places and put their next shot immediately after. If he had spaced it out and mixed them up a little bit, but every time it would cut to them flip flopped.
The fucking fighting where they never actually touch each other, and it goes on and on and on.
Yes,
and they're close enough to touch each other.
He credits himself as fight scene coordinator.
Well, he trained them all.
Did he?
And here's what's great is this is fight scene coordination. It is. Now there is the fight between the nurse and the other lady where they're actually physically touching each other.
You're right.
The best part of all of
they
this.
Were
that was the hottest moment of the movie.
But this is Jet Li level innovation
to the gut.
Because the two people, whenever it's the two students and they're going at it, like punch, 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 kick, 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 they're just but they can't hit each other because they're not in the same place. And then it just, so we've done this 10 times with 4 actors that are just dispersed in different, different combinations. But then it's the 2 nurses who have to fight. So they're like, hey, how do we do this? There's all this hesitation to everything they do. because they're the only ones that have ever been actually fighting together, which I think is so hilarious. But again, I don't think he means for it to be hilarious. I don't know. I don't know what the thought process behind that.
I think he's just trying to get it done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's a doer and he wants it complete. And
he's like,
it
how
almost
can I
feels
do this
like
for
we're watching a comic
$500?
book series.
Yeah.
Or graphic novel series.
Yeah. But I think Justin's right. I think they filmed the whole thing in one day. You know, I think they had a Canon camera with a zoom lens, right? And they were just like, set it on a fucking tripod. We have the screen. Just do it. And the only thing is sometimes there's steps, and they have to have green steps, and then they have to have like maybe a bed or something. But beyond that, it's just fucking shoot it, man.
I will say it was a massive green screen wherever they were filming it, because like there were some scenes early in the movie when they were running down hallways or in the alleys, like they were full on running. Like it was a big room that they were running in.
And he drove that car through the forest on a green screen. That was huge.
He could have just masked out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
No, like he actually had like room to run.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They had
so
more
it was
than
a big
5
green
feet
screen.
to run. Yeah.
Whenever they're at the top of the arch, him and that girl, and like they kind of glide up. There's like a hump and they kind of glided up. I was like, this is amazing.
And they're going on their little walk. That was that when you guys were referencing like how happy you were for the character, and when you were watching it, that was one of the biggest few pops in the movie when he's like, he finally gets with the blonde woman and he gets the girl and he's hugging this woman, and like he goes left side, right side, left side, right side, left side, and then finally kisses her. Everybody's like going crazy.
Yeah.
This happened a few times.
He's really good at building suspense.
He really
edging the audience.
Oh God,
edging the audience.
And she had something in her contract that she wasn't actually going to kiss him because they're cheating, but her lips are completely closed and you can see both of them like she's in Team America.
I don't think she's in her contract as much as she just didn't do it.
It was more like just contract, just mash faces with pursed lips.
Do you think? Do you know this for sure? Or are you just making that up?
No, I just the one time I saw the first time she kisses him, she's like, and she doesn't move, like she just keeps her lips closed. And
she also had a lot of filler, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. True. I just took it as she wasn't a great screen kisser. You know, that she was just like, I don't have much practice in this because I'm a community college student. You know, I'm a community theater actor.
It didn't seem like they were doing the Jonah Hill thing, which I heard is what they do in his new movie where he's marrying a black girl or something.
What did they do?
Did you guys see this?
Intimacy?
No, I've watched it. I didn't see the kiss. What happened to the kiss?
They didn't actually kiss on screen. They composite it and just do like an animation thing. It's just at the end of the movie, I guess.
Oh,
but they were like, they didn't want to kiss each other.
I think this girl was.
Oh, really?
This was her first kiss.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Oh,
maybe it was. Yeah.
In life? Wow.
Yeah. Neil Breen.
Wow.
Well, maybe he took necking literally.
She's like,
Adam, is there anywhere in
30s
particular
looking.
you wanted to go next, or can I say something?
You
I
can
don't know
say
which
something.
direction it diverts us.
Not a lot of direction for this.
Well,
Yeah,
hang
not a
on.
lot of direction.
Did we want to do the plot? Like, we haven't really even talked about
Joey, take it over.
I mean, we talked about it. It's like, so Cade, who you may or may not remember from the previous film, was a Twisted Pair.
He looks like Neil Breen, if anybody's curious.
He and his twin brother are men who have been abducted by aliens and been alternated to have, superpowers. And Cade is the good one. Kale is the bad guy, and they're supposed to be fighting for good, but Kale becomes bad. He's turned. And they're estranged or whatever. In the meantime, Cade, I guess, is like a very wealthy. He drives a Ferrari, obviously.
Oh yeah, he does.
And he's never been to the hospital, by the way. As anybody's
Right.
wondering. I've
He's
never been to the
donated-
hospital.
He's a philanthropist that's donated a ton of money to people he trusted to have a good hospital that would take care of its patients and I guess also do gene research. I guess the gene. I don't know if he knew much about that part.
So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like, was he investing in gene research, or was that what the hospital was doing on its own?
It's for the children.
It's just a mental hospital, I think, based on what it says. So I think that's all he knows about. There's
the way, like, I feel like he probably thought that he was investing in like a hospital that was being refurbished and like redone into something like really nice.
It's not really a seventh layer of
derelict mental ward.
I can't remember how he so there's these patients that seemingly are just homeless people that are being brought there, and then I guess they're being transported or something.
Yes.
And then they get in a car accident because the guy taking them is a drunk, I guess, or a drunk or whatever.
but okay, I'm sorry. There's a wrinkle.
I'm never gonna finish this plot.
When they're picked up by this guy, they all have crutches and wheelchairs, and then the car accident miraculously causes them to walk again. With no ailments. They're all fine.
Yeah, they didn't need them. Get them out of the car. Anyway, I'm gonna try to skip over sub stuff because it's just so much going on. Anyway, Cade comes across these kids, these patients. He ends up taking them to his castle.
Holy shit, castle.
I can't really remember exactly what happens after that, but then they get transported back to the hospital, and then he goes to the hospital, I guess, to maybe see them or something. I can't remember exactly, but he sees what a mess it is, and like that clearly the whole thing has been is being used as like a what were you guys saying earlier, like a not a slush fund, but like
almost like a money, like a front or
like a front or something for this very, I don't know, kind of
3 doctors,
corporate thing. I don't know.
They're doing the
felt
Deadpool
like
thing.
The gene editing was always supposed, like, it seemed like it was always for Cale to try to heal himself. So was Cale the one that was funding it secretly, or were these guys working with Cale, or was Cale just a ghost that nobody knew was actually there?
No, Cale.
They knew he was there.
Cade was funding it all, and then I don't think Cale had any direct influence on what was going on at the hospital. I think he was just taking advantage of it because his AI implants were failing. And so he was using the gene editing stuff that they were doing at the hospital to try to heal himself. And he was getting like addicted to pills and empty syringes.
Here's this question I'm having a problem with is, what is the people that are all invested in this hospital being bad and getting run down and all this stuff? What is their financial advantage? How does that work? Does anyone know?
Yes, they keep getting. I'll keep going at them.
General corruption.
They're corrupt. Yeah, they're
corruption equals
not
money.
doing anything with the money.
Okay, so they're just taking his money and pocketing it predominantly while letting the hospital sort of run down.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, they're just not. They just lie and say the hospital itself has become a Ponzi scheme.
And there's like a Mengele, I guess, like some guy performing random.
But he doesn't.
Surgeries.
He's not good at anything.
But anyway, to try to wrap this up.
That guy that choked him, I wanted it so bad to be Theo Von.
Dude, that was a great moment.
That guy should have been played by Theo Von in this movie.
It made too much. Anyway, the movie at this point gets very weird where we were talking about it. It's very circular, and you kind of feel like you're going insane as the story kind of goes over itself and back again multiple times as the patients seemingly get surgery performed on them, possibly die, become alive again, go back to the streets, get kidnapped, get put back in. Meanwhile, Cale's like all around the hospital doing stuff, eating pills, injecting himself with random stuff. His face is falling off. Cade is preparing the patients for a fight that's coming, which I guess he thinks is Cale, but then it's not really. It's just people with ski masks that are maybe from corporations, maybe corporations that are coming in and being all corporation-y, or but with ninjas?
Well, at some point the cops are like, let's send the task force.
But
so
then the cops show
but they
up
get
at
there
the
too
end.
late.
Well, but
And he's like, "We've killed everybody. We're good."
yeah,
There's nothing here for you. They've all
right.
disintegrated.
Yeah.
There's
they're all
nothing here
clones.
for you. There's nothing here. Yeah, and then Cade is with the co-director of the hospital. He gets the girl, but he says goodbye to Kale. I guess he murders him, right, with a sword.
Yes, with a sword that
Magic
to his
sword
head.
Where,
Yeah, it's like an alien sword that he manifests.
that he divines from thin
Yeah.
air.
Then he goes out to the grassy hillside and walks around with his would-be wife. This is after he, like, maybe 5 scenes earlier, she probably told him that she was pregnant. And he just walks away from her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she whispered in his ear there.
But at the end, he's just like, I have to go. There's a lot of weird shit with a tiger lady, and then it ends.
Oh, man.
Yes.
My
That
God.
is a very good summary, but it leaves out my favorite subplot of any Neil Breen movie I've ever seen, which is one of the patients, don't know why, he has committed to creating an electronic dance intro
Yes.
in captivity. And we keep cutting to this man with his Casio keyboard, and he is trying to make a song, and he can't, and then he gets sunglasses, and he gets a little bit better, and then he gets a leather driver's cap, and he gets a little bit better, and then at the end, there's a dance break in this movie.
Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, I left out that part, and I left out when Neil first is about to find the kids after they've been in this horrible car accident where they're all fine.
Kids,
Just
these are like
before that,
grown-ass people.
he's just walking around in the hillside, I guess, and he comes upon a white tiger, and he proceeds to have a little kitty battle with it. Where they fight each other. They fight each other fist to fist
For a long time.
for a while,
It's long.
It's 3 minutes probably.
and then he like hears the car accident or somebody coming, and he's like, "We can't do this anymore." And then the tiger turns into like a babe.
Yeah.
Well,
a ghost
first the
babe.
tiger.
Stop.
You realize the tiger was always his friend. Stops
Yeah,
fighting
I
him.
guess.
No.
And then just
The
walks
tiger
with him.
woman, I don't know if she's ever particularly explained.
She's feminine energy.
Right. She's just
Was she not
kind
in the
of-
last one? Somebody
I feel
thought
like she was in the last one.
Maybe? I don't know.
There
Somebody
was a
said-
tiger thing.
There was a
in the last
tiger
one.
He loves
in
tigers.
one of his movies. There was
Yeah.
like that mystical tiger in Fateful Findings, maybe.
I think I am here now.
I am here. ... Now.
now. I think he pets that
What?
tiger that's kind of put in a cave with him. Maybe
Yeah.
that could be a different movie, but
It was like the Revenant bear fight, but clip art, and also it was as exciting as when Yoda comes out in episode 2 and fights Dooku and it's flipping around and everybody. It was that level of like surprise.
Oh, the
and
tiger
other-
lady fight, or the tiger
Yeah, the
fight?
tiger
And
lady
excitement.
fight.
It's
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. We were like, what the fuck? Like
this movie
exciting,
opens up
and then-
explosively. I will say, yeah.
Oh,
literally,
God, yes.
literally.
It is wild. It's a wild start to a Neil Breen movie.
There's an
I
explosion
was thinking,
that chases him.
oh
Sorry,
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
I thought
That's
what
a
you were saying.
whole
It
other
overcomes
intro
him.
part. I was
Yeah.
just thinking, like, the first 30 minutes of this thing is like just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second act is like this mind fuck of a like weird. It gets so strange that you have problem or trouble like keeping up with reality, to the point that I mentioned it in my letterbox thing, but I was just like, I'm in an existential state of bliss, I think, where I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it matters, but why does anything matter? I don't know why. I'm just loving this so much.
Yeah, and I mentioned in my letterbox review, like, and this is not hyperbole. I genuinely mean this. The only time I have experienced that level of like shared communal bliss before is the 2017 World Series parade. I swear to God.
Wow.
Like, being in that parade and feeling the entire city of Houston screaming and cheering after like Harvey and the first ever World Series championship and all that stuff. This is on par with that. Like it was wild. Like just
Except there was like all these jarring screams that are randomly thrown in this entire sound mix the entire time.
They're the same guy screaming.
It's like if you just repeated the Wilhelm scream like 20 times.
Reversed.
So, Adam, what I was going to say earlier is
nice.
He was correct me if I'm wrong, but was Breen an engineer?
I think he was an architect.
Okay, even better. So architects, certain architects. I mean, there's a concept like if there was something, if you had a big piece of property and people were walking through it all the time, and you build something on one side of the property, but you don't want people walking around it. You don't have to put up any fences or anything. All you got to do is build a sidewalk going the other direction, and people will take that sidewalk naturally. You don't to keep something occulted. You don't have to go out of your way to hide it. You just have to redirect people, and that's kind of the brain I'm seeing Breen have is like just thinking in terms of social architecture, because the scene where he used that same footage in both scenes of every time it cut to the audience that he's talking to, and they're all clapping and applauding.
Yes.
Every time Breen was speaking, he was not speaking to that audience. He was speaking to us in the audience. Everybody started clapping where the claps should be inserted, and Breen played us like a fiddle.
He played us like a experience.
JD stood up when the B-roll crowd gave a standing ovation.
What a cuck. No, I mean, it was fun, and it was engaging, and that level of engagingness, it's new to me. That's a new. It was interactive, almost.
It's what,
and so that's such a strange aspect of Breen's movies.
Yeah, and the
there were a
fact
lot
that
of
we
strange
watched it
aspects to it, like
in a church.
But cool though. I'm just sorry, I'm doing some cleaning.
So JD's doing some more visual humor, and to explain it a little bit, when these patients, like Joey said, when they are transported either to or from the hospital, whichever it is, they get in like a Ford Explorer or something. They call it a bus, but it's just like a Ford Expedition or something.
Maybe they wanted it to be a bus, and then that's all they could find.
For whatever reason, they are pressing their hands and faces against the windows. Except the windows are rolled down, and you can see them peeking out above the top of the door. And they are just committing fully to this bit. And then Breen walks up, and he tries to do the like hand against hand in the window thing, but there's no window there. But they fucking believe there is. It's
my guess is like the Explorer that they got had tinted windows, and they're like, we can't see them in this, so we got to roll them down. We'll add the windows in later. He probably told them that we're gonna add the windows in later. And then when he realized the rear window didn't roll all the way down, it's just like
my guess is they weren't in the car.
They were.
No.
They were in the car.
They were on a green screen and pretending like they're in a car. And that's why they don't have any situational awareness of where the window would or would be.
The way that one was shot, they were in the car because they also brought his Ferrari into a green screen room too. He was actually sitting in that Ferrari.
No, he was in the car dealership sitting in the Ferrari.
He just propped the thing up behind him.
I mean, based on how many...
No, go ahead.
Based on how many Ferraris he's had in movies, I'm going to say he owns Ferraris. He's a Ferrari guy.
Yeah,
this
but
is
the
a
one
new one.
He kills somebody at a Ferrari in that one.
He murders somebody in Fateful Findings by one, right?
Yeah.
There's a decal.
Or no, they
on it,
kill
though,
themselves, and he walks in.
Yeah.
He walks in on someone who just died, or maybe the girl. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. He likes Ferraris. They may or may not have brought a Ferrari to a green screen in whichever way. I don't know about that Ford Explorer thing because it is really hard to imagine them being like making that make sense while shooting it if they're in the car. It sort of makes sense if they're doing it all on green screen and putting them in the car, but then they shot the car wrong.
Or they, yeah.
Or like, I really do think they rolled the windows down and they were going to add glass back in later. So they were like, just pretend there's glass there.
Maybe they were tinted and they were like, we'll put glass in. Or maybe people will think there's glass if we just act it.
Yeah, actually, yes, because the crutches. He was like, get these crutches out of my car. You know, so
hey, did
they
that
were
guy
actually
die?
getting in and out of that car.
Did that guy die?
Yeah, he just disappeared.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
He probably died when Breen remolded the car, and he probably just
when he
made his body part of the car.
Yeah. Or they invited everybody back on set, and he's like, and they're like, where's the driver? And he's like, oh, I forgot to call him. Okay, let's shoot anyway. You know, just like, let's figure it out. The only thing to push back on Justin's logic on this, and it's sound logic for the Explorer or whatever, but in the tight shot of him driving through the woods, like where it's just like the driver's seat of the car, basically, that's all you can see. The decal of the Ferrari is like a sticker or a magnet, and like does not belong on that car. And the side mirror says like DEM on it. Like there's like a
So that happened when he opened the door too. When he actually got out of the Ferrari in a tighter shot, I think they fucked up the matting on that and didn't animate. So he actually got out of the Ferrari. The door opened, so like he actually got out of the car, but something was going on with the mat because it fucked up on the mirror in that shot too. And I think they just I don't know if they had another layer below it or something that they didn't turn off all the way.
Yeah, or if they probably okay, this is going to be very inside baseball. What they probably did is they probably got the preview versions of all the stock footage and matted it that way before they purchased it, right? And then they purchased it once they approved the shot selection. But they probably had like a nested comp somewhere that they forgot to replace the demo, right? DEM demo footage or Shutterstock or whatever it is, the watermarked footage with the final footage, and it's just that's part of the watermark. That would be my guess. But
it's impressive. You say Shutterstock or whatever it is, but
it is Shutterstock. It's credited.
It is Shutterstock. It's a little credit.
Which, by the way, speaking like I said at the top of the show, social media, go check out our TikTok and Joey. I don't know if it's on Instagram yet, but we have a video of the crowd reaction to the credits of this film.
Yeah,
please go watch that. That's what you need to know when it comes to like how it felt.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Well, with all of that said, I think we've touched on most everyone's favorite parts. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else.
Well, what was the scene with the...
Katie's got a list.
What was the scene? So when they're in front of the shack or that house that's falling apart, and none of them can stand up. In the beginning, the first time you see these shots, they're not hazy, but as it goes, they're more and more hazy, foggy. Almost like but nobody can stand up in these shots.
Right. The skull.
Every time there's a character in there, they're falling down into the shot. And then there's two skulls. They make mention that there were 6 patients brought in.
Oh, right.
But 2 have died. There are 2 skulls.
Right.
So I'm now wondering in my mind, are these the 2 that have died? And when you touch the skull, it shows you what happened to them. And is this a dream state?
Interesting.
That's the whole
they're
movie.
all encountering the same dream state because they're all going through the same experiments. Anyways, those scenes confused me thoroughly.
Well, yeah.
Everyone that ends up in that hallway. Sorry. Oh, everyone that ends up in that grassy area, like it seemed like they all felt the need to grab the skull. They couldn't just walk by. They had to touch the skull.
And they all wake up at some point with like blood coming down their eyes and they're all screaming like, was I dreaming? What was I like? Was that real? Was I dreaming? So yeah.
So I was MK Ultra written all over it.
Well, I guess so. We did kind of touch on all the favorite parts, but I guess a little bit different. Did anybody have any like? Was there one particular running thread or recurring character that maybe spoke to y'all that we haven't talked about?
I mean, it's kind of like Joey's. What was the favorite part about the guy? The guy that continued to interrupt the dude doing surgery was like one of my favorite. It's like the Lieutenant Hoagie kind of character of like, oh, here he is again. It's just this guy doing surgery. Help. And he's like, fuck, he's dead.
How many times do I have to tell you?
Yeah, and then this guy just wanders in and he's like, get out. Go away. Nobody wants you.
He almost creeps in like this every time. And then he catches him and he just freezes.
So this doctor's doing like the Harry and the Henderson speech to this patient like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie. I'm like, go home. Nobody wants you here. And then the last part, this guy comes in and like strangles him to death. Another triumphant moment in this movie.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favorite things. That I can't think of any other threads. But
well,
if
that's okay because you only get one. So, Justin,
right. Just you, me.
There was a thread, but I also had a part that I wanted to mention. The thread was the pick one. Well, do you want me to skip the thread? The thread was just
put it on threads, man.
The close up of the people waking up terrified.
Yes.
And then
the kidnappings.
I don't know what he was telling them to do, but like the shot was them laying on their side and they just wake up and then they'd like freak out silently for a minute and then slowly drift off to sleep.
Like, oh, it's nothing.
Zero explanation.
But my favorite part was the as dumb as this is when they first get to his castle inside and they're in his foyer.
I was gonna bring this up earlier when we were talking about how big the green screen was.
Everything is massive.
Big
they are
enough.
standing on giant stairs as like they're babies. But there's this part where the brunette doctor, I guess, she decides she wants to seduce him. And she just lets her hair down and it fucking falls all the way to the floor. Like she's been growing that hair out for 20 years.
Not green screen.
And then
that's real.
The blonde lady's like, what are you doing? And then they show a close up of the blonde lady looking at her silent. And then they cut back to her. And now she's suddenly on the stairs hovering like she's holding the handrail, but she's not.
Don't go up there.
Yeah, they cut back to a tight shot of the blonde lady. Like, don't go back up there. Come back down here. And then they cut back to a wide, and she's now 10 more stairs up. Like she just like hovered.
I'm gonna do it.
It's like I'm gonna do it.
This is what I was gonna mention earlier. That whole scene is so strange to me because we are in a castle, and everyone is going to, except for Neil, is going to sleep on the floor of the entryway.
Oh yeah, and they make a point to say that.
The presumption being this is a giant castle with one bedroom.
Well, no, he even says he has 57 bedrooms.
Yeah, he offers them all rooms, and one of the blonde lady's like, I think for tonight we'll sleep on the carpet.
Yeah, because
and they all lay down.
Yeah, and they're not even laying on the carpet.
Up together.
Yeah.
And then they wake up and they're like, they show them, stretching and all in pain for at least 5 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah. But no,
like to the point where they stop doing it and then start doing it again.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That whole scene is something else.
I mean, we didn't talk about. Oh, sorry, Adam, please.
No, go ahead, JD. This is your show.
Let's go.
Okay, so,
D stands for double down on bits.
We have to talk about how whenever there was CGI or people appearing in a scene or something like this, whatever effect he was using, he had to stop all movement on screen. Whether they're in the middle of a conversation or something, they just like freeze. And then you're waiting. Okay, Kale's going to appear in the scene. his eye changes color or whatever, and now everybody can move again. So that was, that was something that happened often.
Yeah, there's a thing. I was reading Anton Bitel, the guy who wrote a Nothing Really Happens review for us a while ago, but he wrote this sentence: there are weird cutaways, jarring sound drops, unmotivated freeze frames, oddly recurring lines, bizarre dance sequences, a random appearing white tiger that transforms into a ghostly woman in white, and it all comes with the dissociative, dislocating feel of a drawn-out dream, or perhaps a parable of the endless interdimensional conflict between good and evil.
Wow,
that's a beautiful
well written. Did he write it or did Chatbot write that?
That was great. I'm pretty sure he wrote it.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
That's kind of sums up the style of this thing. We kind of talked about the freeze frames, but yeah, the way that they, the way that they utilize them, might have been out of necessity because they only maybe shot it once or didn't time anything out. But
okay, so the one at the
of it is greater. It just adds to the whole feeling of like numbing your mind to logic or removing logic from your brain for a while.
Some of them are timed to music. It's like, this music track that's public domain needs to finish. So we're going to freeze it and then cut to something else. Yeah.
That Matrix song I need on Apple Music.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is just kind of this effect of, it's almost like he has the mind of a child or the imagination of a child, right? And like he doesn't
cut that
know how to, like, I look at we talked about the way that he and the blonde lady have that intimate moment, and it's like I hug you on the right side and then the left side and then the right side and the left side and then I kiss you and then we kneel down.
Yes, it's very conservative and like coy.
It's very childlike to me, right? Of like, oh yeah, we hug each other, or like this person is not talking, so they can just be frozen because there's like no object permanence in Neil Breen's mind, right? He's like, you don't exist over here. You're not talking. Yeah. And it's like watching a child's dream for 90 minutes.
That's a good way of putting it. Watching a child's dream. Like they met Neil Breen in real life one day, and then they went to sleep.
Yeah.
They went to the zoo and met Neil Breen. And saw a picture of a mental hospital. Was freaked out by it.
I just played some Silent Hill, and I went to sleep.
Yeah. Any other running threads, or do we want to just go ahead and rate this? As if
I got one running thread, and then let's rate it. But do y'all remember when Neil Breen put out the call for an animator?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I was so happy to see what that was for.
Did JD just disappear?
We just lost him.
I'm here.
Oh, your video died, but that's fine.
The tiger, the white tiger, was that call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
he was calling for someone to do that scene. He had that scene in his head, and that's the animator he got. I want that animator to come on this show.
I think
so that animator, if
it was a girl, I think it was like Emily something or another. I can't remember exactly how to look at it.
I think it was. It was beautiful to see that come full circle.
Yeah.
Just whoever that is, I think I would just love to talk to them because harkens Mandy.
I want to understand her experience with working with him for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It'd be an amazing interview.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it on IMDb.
LinkedIn,
maybe we can
on LinkedIn or something.
Maybe.
And do we really have to rate this, Adam?
No, but it's more of like a closing statements, I guess.
I was gonna say,
how many brains are you gonna give it?
Since I didn't get a thread thing, I was just gonna say really quickly, hit the injecting of no blood or anything was really good.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then the kidnapping, we kind of covered it a little bit, but every time
Not
it's just
again.
like the homeless people or homeless kids for like I don't know how many times each of them get kidnapped.
3.
At least 3, it seems like, right?
Yeah. It was the same shot, just on different backgrounds.
He gets to do his black glove thing with Kale kidnapping them, but not showing his face, which he's done since Double Down, where he just shows someone with black shoes, black glove, like a giallo kind of deal. It's also like everyone's wearing fucking jeans in this.
Oh yes.
And there's gene therapy going on. Dustin made a very good pun last night. I can't remember exactly what it was.
We took a group photo and our pants were all kind of blown out in the photo. And so he was like, oh, it looks like we're all wearing acid wash jeans. And then Justin said, we'll just have to do some gene editing on that photo.
Nice. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
We did forget to mention his reveal in the movie. Do y'all remember this? Like, do y'all remember how he came on screen with that bus?
No.
Oh, yeah, and he got hit by the clip by it.
You remember now?
Oh my
Kale, what are you doing here?
Kale.
Oh, we have to do the
Yeah.
Neil Breen side shot.
Kale.
Stay out
You
of
need to
here.
help me.
I liked
Look
his
at me.
reaction shot during the action sequence at the beginning.
It's supposed to go.
I think
That's a great Matrix
my
song.
favorite reaction shot of his, which doesn't feel like the first time this has happened in one of his movies, where someone tells him that they are pregnant, and he just goes
And walks
away.
The script is like exit stage left.
Yeah.
It's never explicitly stated that she's pregnant, but I have a feeling he's going to circle back on that one in the future.
Do you
Maybe
think
a
his baby's
pseudo
going to have
sequel.
AI enhancements?
Oh, you know,
Almost certainly.
Yeah, you got
Almost
Super
certainly.
Soldier. Through and through.
depends on how much Shutterstock has to offer when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Just give it
I
time.
mean, it had the weird baby shit for Twisted Pair. There was some weird
true.
baby stock image for that.
I have an identical twin brother, Cale. We were raised in a normal family, doing all the normal things in life. We were inseparable.
Yeah, well, I think about Fateful Findings when he has him and maybe his brother, or maybe it's his sister or something, on a beach a lot. They keep cutting back to it.
Oh my God.
We loved going to the beach with our dog. Then one day it all changed. There was a bright light in the sky and time stood still. We were both selected.
It's like two little blonde kids.
Yeah. Very much like the audience shots in this
Me
one.
and my brother. Maybe he had a brother in that one too. I guess I need to rewatch Fateful.
Okay.
Yeah, there's really no need to rate this. We all know that it's a 5-bag plus 5 Breens.
May I say why though? It's 5 Breens because there literally are 5 Breens fighting 5 other people.
This is why we did
That's
this.
why
We created the Brains because we don't give it normal ratings.
Damn, we're gonna need more help.
Yeah.
So we are maxing.
Yeah,
We need to
I'm
make
gonna
this a fair
verify
fight.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And also,
JD,
let
did
us
you
not
make that
forget,
beard out of a t-shirt?
This beard is separate, okay?
That's
It's
the
just- it's not a very-
it looks like a t-shirt.
that's the
not me.
biohazard wrap beard.
It's
Oh,
not me.
wow.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
It's Jade.
It looks weirder.
Yeah.
Well, I give it 500%.
500%?
Yeah.
How many? And then 5 Breens also?
Yeah. Well, we don't rate this with regular ones. We just rate it with Breens.
Yeah.
No, you give it 5 bags of trash plus 5 Breens, like you were saying. But if everybody's gonna do that,
Yeah, you can have as many bags of trash as you want.
No, you don't.
The
give it bags
perfect
trash,
piece
you
of
give it
shit.
Brains.
Amazing movie, really.
Beautiful.
Well.
Beautiful.
It is, something to behold.
Yeah, if you are listening to this and you have the opportunity to see it in theaters near you, I would say I would drive up to an hour probably to see that again.
It's playing in the
Yeah.
Alamo, I think Tuesday, maybe.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If you have that opportunity, take it.
Yeah.
It's an experience.
I think it officially comes out on the 8th.
What does that? What does officially comes out mean? Does it? Is
I don't
it going to
know.
be streaming
This
somewhere?
was- No, I
All
don't
of his
know.
movies are very hard to
Wide.
to get.
I guess this is considered some kind of special engagement. They said this is the screening, so I don't know. I'm just parroting what they said.
Yeah, he had a
Yeah,
time
okay.
stamp on it too. He was like 7 o'clock or else.
Yeah.
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 Nationwide theater release on the 8th. Is that right?
I guess.
I'm looking on his Yeah, the website
Nationwide
doesn't really say anything.
Theater question mark.
I think he does have a couple of his movies up on Amazon Prime now.
Yeah, I think Twisted Pair is up there. I own it there. But yeah, you can also buy any of his films on, or most of his films on his website, I believe. Although he does the Disney Vault thing.
Take movies off to where they're
Criterion.
available.
Do you think Criterion's going to start carrying Breen? I think after a while they might do one. I don't know.
Well, I got to get to dinner, so.
All right. Well,
Cool.
It was really great to be able to watch that with y'all in person and with everybody that was at 14 Pews. We did talk to the programmer who kind of put it together, and hopefully we'll be able to get him on the show for a future episode. That would be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you saw it, if you are going to see it in your city, hit us on social media, shoot us an email, trashmoviekings@gmail.com. What an amazing time. Thank you all for being here on a Sunday, which is weird. I have been Adam Edwards. Joining me, Joey Graham, JD Karpicki, Justin Petty, and Apocalypse Howell. Thank you to everybody who is watching and listening, and we will see you next time.